Dr. Sangela Marghese, and we have a really exciting show today. Of course, we have Nicole, who is our Week in Culture, and Carolyn,
Hello.
who is doing What's Trending with the most unbalanced woman in comedy. And we have an extra special guest tonight, David Shrank. And he is going to be talking about bullying, and he is very, very inspirational. I've been speaking with him for a few weeks now, trying to set this up. He's got a very busy schedule. He owns an empowerment company, and he is a licensed therapist, and we're going to get more into that. But when he comes on to the show, because I want to really, really introduce him. But he's a really special guest, and he's just going to blow all of us away. So our guest, David Shrank, he is the CEO of Empowerment Behavioral Therapeutic Services. He is from Silver Springs, Maryland. He is a licensed therapist who provides group or individual counseling for students or adults who have been bullied or are currently being bullied. He has counseled youth in Philly and Trenton, corrections facility in Trenton also, and he's been teaching martial arts since 2003. And in Trenton, at the behavioral health care, he teaches a self-defense program. And he's a keynote speaker. And tonight, we're going to hear his own personal story of his psychological and physical suffering through bullying, and how he transformed himself into a highly confident person or human being who has helped many others psychologically who have been severely bullied. Hey, David, are you here with us?
I'm here.
You are? Great. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let me just turn up my my headset a little bit. I can hardly hear you. Hang on one second.
I apologize. Can you hear me more now?
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. We also have on the show Nicole Geib, who does our culture, our Week in Culture, and Carolyn Minson, who is the host of What's Trending with the most unbalanced woman in comedy. So welcome. So how are you today?
I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I have a few questions here for you, and I can't wait to get started. But tell us a little bit about your background and your own personal bullying story.
Sure. Well, so at this point in time, I've probably heard about 150 or so stories, and mine, in terms of school bullying, has usually been the worst. It really, I think a lot of it started from the fact that I was kind of late to develop and talk, late in a variety of ways, and therefore in school didn't exactly have the ability to respond to other kids when they would make any comment. The bullying kind of started in kindergarten, and worked its way up until about 10th grade. Certainly, by far the worst from 3rd grade through about 6th grade. 2nd, 3rd grade, it was pretty consistent from the verbal aspect of just daily tormenting in school.
Could you give us a few? I'm sorry. Could you give us a few examples of the way that the children verbally abused you? A few examples.
Sure. So I could be called on in class and not know the answer, and then and a number of kids would have immediate responses as to me being stupid or slow or what have you. And I mean, like, be told I was, in the sense that I'm ADD, I had dyslexia, I stutter, so even especially at that point in time, it took me that much longer to think of a response and respond, and I didn't have the self-confidence to think of a response. But most of it actually happened, so events would happen in class, and then it was between classes, when teachers weren't as aware as the students were being passed from spot to spot, when the teachers weren't on top of what was going on. that the kids would target me over and over and over again. None of it, we're going to start a support group, we're going to start this group, a that group, and none of it actually helped at all. In fact, it just perpetuated it more because of the lack of understanding of how to judge it. When you, with what they did, it actually singled me out more and put more of the target on my back, and therefore, again, was being bullied more and more and more as that consistent target.
Oh, because you were bringing them out. You were opening the closet door, and they were they were really letting you have it.
Exactly. Things really came to a head all more around sixth grade, where I was really afraid for my life, and told my parents I wanted to start to study martial arts, which is what it eventually brought me out of this. Initially, as I first started it, I think my third class in, I was taught that if someone tries to sidekick you, you grab their foot. So I'm on the schoolyard, and a kid goes to sidekick me or to kick me. I grabbed his foot. I thought, what am I supposed to do now? So I threw it up in the air, and the kid did a full flip in the air and got hurt.
Oh.
Next thing I know, I had the entire class saying, I quote, "Get him."
Oh, really?
Fell. Yes. I ran, fell, and then it felt like eternity of them, the entire class punching and kicking me. Probably in retrospect, it was about 30 to 35 seconds,
Right.
But it felt like it was a very long period of time.
Tell us about how you got into the martial arts and how that turned it around.
So, as time went on, I realized this was kind of my way out, and I started to just train harder and harder, study more and more, and my father actually joined as well, so it became a father and son thing to do, and I would literally just, after every class, practice the stuff that I learned for hours and hours, try to ingrain into me, and as I started to get better, and I changed schools and realized I actually had more of an ability to use this to push kids away and to defend myself. That I started to, I shouldn't say I started to, but my self-esteem started to go up quite a lot.
Right.
I wouldn't say it soared up because it still took me a number of years to really find myself, and to really become much more competent, including having to go through a tremendous amount of psychotherapy to address all the trauma that had happened. But it really started to at least to change my outlook, because at least if a kid were to say mean things and to push me, I could think in the back of my mind, at least in a fight, I would win and he would lose. And so having that in my mind was actually a way for me to mentally start to combat it, and that started it reducing.
Yeah, you empowered yourself.
Exactly.
Like you weren't just a victim. Like what was the incident, either psychologically or physically, that caused you to turn the turning point? Like what happened where you were like, ow, enough, I can't take it anymore?
I don't think it was a specific incident, to be honest. I think the trauma had continued daily for so long that I started to cut myself off from my own emotions, because it just hurt so bad. I was terrified to go to school in sixth grade almost every single day. And eventually it just got to a point where, and my parents are exceptionally involved, exceptionally caring, and loving people, and they used to started, I think, to see it in me and say, David, you don't deserve this.
So once you started doing the martial arts and things started turning around, and like you said, you had to do some therapy to, after years of being traumatized. So how did you learn how to control the demons?
I had a couple of real powerful breakthroughs. One probably in my my senior year of high school, and then again around midway through college. High school, it kind of my senior year. One day, it just looked at it, and I really realized, I'm worth it. I'm not
Right.
worth nothing. I'm worth it. This is not
You have some
how life
self-worth.
should be.
Yeah, you start.
Exactly.
Yeah, once you realize your self-worth, things do change around because you just start
Exactly.
putting up boundaries, and you're like, no, this is not happening anymore.
Exactly, and that was actually the point in time in high school. Actually, when I realized that I wanted to go to school to become a therapist to help other kids, that no one had to go through what I'd gone through right again.
So
And
you
then in college,
you're licensed
yes,
therapist, and do
yes.
you primarily deal with bullied children and adults?
At this point in time, I'm getting more of that, but I specifically as a mental health professional, I wanted to get the best experience I possibly could. So from the end of college and on, I sought out all the most extreme jobs in mental health, so I would have the experience of all the areas. So because of that, I'm considered an expert now. Fortunately, in various things.
So what about the children? What type of children do you counsel?
Um, I get
Like ranges of
quite the gamut.
culture, or what is going on out there with the bullying now? What is I don't want to
So,
use the word trend, but you know what I'm saying.
so in terms of the bullying, I'm trying to change a lot of what is currently going on. The biggest issue is that you either have people who say everyone should just be nice to each other and not fight with each other, which in this society is not real. It's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have those who try to put together an exceptionally organized and structured program to give to schools, which can only be maintained for 2 to 3 months because the teachers and staff have their own style, their own way of handling their classroom, and so to put in such a constructed techniques and program becomes too hard for them to maintain, and that's exactly why the programs I started are very much unstructured and are more to teach the understanding. One needs to be known the overall guidelines and concepts that that any a teacher or parent or therapist or what have you can take and learn and make it their own, part of their own style, so that they can employ it in any way that they see fit.
Oh, well, that's
And the
great because
reality
it's
is
more
it's been working.
holistic, right? It's more holistic if it's individualized instead of everyone
Exactly.
fitting in the same kind of shell and mold that
Exactly.
doesn't work for everyone else, right?
Exactly.
So that's awesome. I find that there's a lot of bullying on cyberbullying, or is it mostly like the kind of experience you had at, right up front, real time bullying?
Unfortunate reality is that right now it's everything. The cyberbullying arena is definitely increasing in size, and what's most difficult about that, which I wrote a piece specifically on cyberbullying, is that it's so hard to control because the internet is endless and infinite, and you don't know what's coming from where. Or at least in schools, on playgrounds in the community, you can put together the programs to educate people to make it work, and it works. The end result is that bullying can only happen when person is affected by the time interaction, when self-esteem is low.
Okay.
but the problem is, most kids, even adults, anyone who's had issues to deal with, probably has some area where their self-esteem is low.
Well, they're the target, right? They're the target.
Exactly, yes.
Like you know that as martial arts, right?
Exactly.
People don't go after the confident one; they go after the one that they can actually bully.
Exactly.
And that's the person with very low self-esteem and self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, right, once you turned around your self-worth, your life turned. You changed.
Exactly.
Everything started to change in your reality. So,
Mm-hmm.
so how do people get, like if someone is experiencing bullying or they want to get help from you, how would they go about doing that?
Well, for one month, I'm on Facebook, but you can also still feel free to email me at david.shrank@ebtservices.com, or call the main number, which is 240-565-2558.
Well, it was great having you here, and
thank you very much.
You know,
thank you.
We
for having me as well.
Yeah, hopefully you'll come back on again, and I'll definitely have all the information in the videos that I'm going to put up on all social networks, and we'll have it here at the station also.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And I'm going to talk to you soon. We'll see you on Facebook tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Bye.